Welcome to Marion County Today. I'm Janet Carlson, Marion County Commissioner, and I'm with my fellow Commissioner, Kevin Cameron. Welcome, Kevin.
It's great to be here with you.
And we're just going to take a few minutes to talk about the Reentry initiative in Marion County, and also to show you some videos that we were able to put together for a breakfast that we had recently to inform the community about Reentry. And you've been involved in Reentry a long time, right, Kevin?
Right. This was our 6th annual breakfast.
Seventh annual.
Yes,
seventh annual.
Yeah, 2009 was our first breakfast.
Right, yeah.
That's right. So yeah, I think you asked me to join the Marion County Reentry Council back in 2006 or 7.
Long time ago.
I know I was appointed to the Governor's Reentry Council in 2007 by then Governor Kulongowski. So I've been involved with it, and of course you had all the really good ideas that came over to the legislature, and I just put my name on the bills, and we worked hard together to get some of those passed over the years. But yeah, we've been working on it together for a long time.
Right, so this breakfast that the 7th annual breakfast is giving people a second chance. And we have so many people in our community that come out of prison or are on probation and are trying to re-enter our society. One of the problems that they encounter in re-entering society is that they've committed a crime, been held accountable, paid their debt to society, and now they can't get a job, can't find a place to live, have trouble reuniting with their families. And so the idea is to try to bring partners together or organizations together and provide services so that we can smooth the way for them, and then they can become good fathers, good mothers, good tax-paying citizens, and all the things that we want from our community members, and that they can give back too. So the video that we're going to see now is called Change is Possible, and it's the profiles of several of the clients of a program that we'll talk about after the video, the SOAR program.
Great. Let's watch it.
All right.
Growing up was rough when I was little. Didn't have a lot of money, on welfare. My parents were on welfare. My dad was actually, he was an alcoholic, a really bad one. We would, anywhere we went, you know, he had a beer open container in the vehicles, and with his alcohol, he didn't really do a whole bunch of talking. It was, you know, discipline was physical. When we were in trouble, you know, it was spankings, and then as we got a little bit older, you know, if me and my brother were fighting or something in the bedroom, I remember one time him just opening up the door and just full fist punch, you know, and get knocked out, you know, but that's how he dealt with things.
I have a hard time remembering anything younger than 10. I don't know if it's because I don't want to remember or if it's I just can't remember. I don't really know. But the last time, or not the last time, but the first time I remember is when I was about 10 or 11 years old. And I ended up getting thrown against the wall.
My dad was kind of like, what do you call, emotionally, not physically abusive, but like verbally mean. My mom became a bartender, and I was with her, so we partied together, and I think I started smoking weed at 11, drinking. I started smoking cigarettes at like 10, and that all went downhill from there.
9 years old, started drinking my mom's Strawberry Hill Boone Farms. Yeah, she found me drinking her stuff and ended up beating me for drinking her wine. In 1998, I think I was 20, 21, something like that. I got a DUI. Almost killed 2 little girls in a state cop's yard up in Jefferson. I was coming to my aunt's house and ran off the road and crashed, and from what the officer said, he said that his daughters were playing there not 10 minutes before I crashed, before his wife called him in. And then I got my mom, who I kidnapped and assaulted. I drug her down some stairs, was drinking one night. And due to the resentment I've had towards her all my life, and the disrespect that she showed me as a young boy, the violence, I got burns right here, you know, 8 years old, getting tortured pretty much. It came out one night.
It's really important to give victims a voice in the process. When you talk to victims about how they feel about how the process worked for them, whether they felt like they had justice, a lot of times you hear them talk about they had a voice or they didn't have a voice.
It's not uncommon for us to hear from a victim that their offender's getting out, and very often they may have built a new life, and so that idea that they're going to come back in and affect them in some way is very scary for them. We also have those individuals who do want to go back to that person, and so one of the big things for them is, will it be different this time? How will I know? And so we do a lot of information sharing about, here's some clues if you see it going back in a direction that you're not comfortable with or you don't feel is safe.
If they're wanting reunification, I work with the victims to make sure that they have safety plans, that everything is in place, what they may need to do, whether they're wanting safety or whether they're wanting reunification. It's, you know, I let them make that choice.
One of the most important things we can keep in mind is that any type of crime is always a choice that someone makes to do that to someone else, and they can make a different choice. There are times when they have had victimization that they need support to heal from. It doesn't take away from the crime that they did. It doesn't change the fact that they need to be held accountable for the crime that they did. But how do we then support them to heal from whatever it is that the trauma that they experienced?
He was scared when he first saw me because he knows the old me and not this new guy that I am now. You know, so he ran, you know, and I kind of ran after him because I really wanted to talk to him. He was one of my best friends, you know, and I sat him down eventually and we started talking, and then he told me how he felt. You know, he was hurt. You know, he lost a good friend at that point, you know, not to mention the physical pain that I caused him. You know, he ended up he broke down and cried. And in doing so, I ended up breaking down and crying. You know, and it's like, you know, he told me about the mental anguish that he went through, and, you know, how he couldn't trust another friend. He told me that he ended up having bad relationships after that because he didn't feel like a man, basically, because of the things that I did. And I ended up talking to him and telling him, you know, try to make amends with it, how sorry I am. And that's to the point where I started to cry, because I know after hearing what he said, no words can take away the years that he spent being like that. You know, and me being the new guy that I am now, you know, I want to be his friend. I want to, you know, he's a good guy. He's got his head on his shoulders now, and I want to be there in his life. But I'm not sure if I'm ready or if he's ready for it emotionally.
But really the victims that have been, for me, have been my kids and my family. They've been really the true victims of anything that I've ever done, because I'm not around, you know, having to hear from their mom that I'm locked up again, that they're not going to see me because I'll be away in prison for whatever amount of time, or just not coming home because I was out selling dope. So really, that's pretty much been the victims for me.
When I was little, I didn't really know the definition or the meaning of what a dad was, because I never really had a dad really my whole life except for these 2 years.
We have a fairly good system for getting restitution ordered within our courts, but I think there's a really important connection when offenders are looking at rehabilitation and actually having some accountability and taking ownership over some of the losses that they caused victims, being able to connect for them that when they're paying that restitution, they're helping try to make that victim whole again, and part of that is paying for that loss.
Since I've been out, I paid off all my back child support, and then my restitution will be almost paid. I got my driver's license, so I'm working on wrapping those things up, and which is going to help my credit. Because in the past I never cared about credit, you know. Now once you change your life and you realize that those things matter.
Oh, well, I'm not even the same person. I'm told all the time now my personality doesn't match my looks. So, yeah, I just want, now that I've tasted what it's like to be, I don't know if you want to call it normal, but like average, or just the average life, or what everybody in society lives, I don't want nothing else. There's nothing that could make me go back. Yeah, it's too good.
Coming out of prison with nothing, no family, no friends, no money, and just being humble and accepting the help that's out there. Because a lot of guys like myself, we get this pride and we're like, I got it, man. I can call these girls, or I got friends over here, when they're unhealthy places and friends.
Now, my life is great. I'm a father of 4 children. I'm a full-time college student. I work part-time. Me and my fiance have been together 19 years, and we're getting married on the 29th of this month. So that's a big event. I've been clean and sober almost 6 years. I'm really active through Shemeketa, pursuing my human services degree to be a drug and alcohol counselor.
I'm not the same guy that I was growing up, my teenage years, or even last year. You know, in a short amount of time, I mean, I've changed my way of thinking. My thought process is totally different, brand new. It's like I rebooted, and, you know, I'm processing all this information. I dumped out my hypothetical cup, and it's empty now, and I'm just throwing all this new information in it. And I mean, change is hard won, but it is possible.
So that was quite a compelling video.
Yes.
And the stories of all of these people that are coming out of prison, going back into the community, many of them are very similar, particularly for people that have been involved in drug crimes and property crimes, which is really the focus that we have right now on justice reinvestment, trying to divert those folks from going into prison in the first place, getting them treatment and helping them enter back into society.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was House Bill 3194 that
Correct.
we passed in the 2013 session when I was there on a bipartisan basis, and it was to try to invest in the corrections system, or actually in the prevention system, through parole and probation and other programs. And I think one of the things that I've learned through this over the years is that obviously the people that are watching know this about government. Sometimes it's so bureaucratic you can't figure out where to go to get certain things done. And I think one of the things that we've done well in Marion County, and your leadership has really made a big difference, is to try to bring those resources together. And there are successes. I mean, we've got a lot of successes that we could talk about. But I know even as a state representative, there was times where I had to call somebody to get something done because, you know, the average citizen couldn't get it done. And so I think breaking down those barriers and having people realize that we need to do more to help these people. Barriers such as having a driver's license when you came out, that was a piece of legislation that you and I worked on, so that now people at least have social securities and IDs when they come out through Department of Corrections. Housing and jobs. If you could remove those barriers or help people find those things quicker, the chances of success go up. I think you maybe want to talk about our success here in our recidivism rate.
Right. Well, the recidivism rate. So recidivism is a word that you don't want to try to say three times fast.
Put $1 in the pot.
Right, exactly. But it's defined as not committing a new felony crime within 3 years. So they look at cohorts of people coming out of prison, and then they measure how many of them go back because of committing a felony crime within 3 years. And our recidivism rate back in the 2002 year, I think, was about 36%. So over a third of people that came out went back to prison. Last year it went all the way down to 14% because of the good work being done in Marion County. It bounces around a little bit. We were up to 21%, but we're hoping to bring that back down. And you know, you asked the question before the show about why would this be important to people, and more than just doing the right thing, I guess, and having a heart for people and saying this person actually paid their debt and now they deserve to have a second chance. The other idea is that it's very expensive to the taxpayer to keep someone in prison, and it's much less expensive if that person is actually a taxpayer rather than someone that is consuming our tax dollars. So if we can help these folks turn their lives around, we not only save government money, but we also reduce the number of victims because they're not out on the street committing crimes, doing drugs and all of those things. So it's a win all the way around for us to be able to do this.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see a video coming up about all the different people who have spoke at these breakfasts. But one of the things that you just said was victims, and I think this year the House Bill 3144, 10% of that money is going back into victims assistance. And I know the money that we just raised at a recent breakfast, 10% of that's going back into victims assistance, which is really important. As we're talking about these people coming out, we also don't want to lose sight that we care about the people that have been victimized, and we're going to work for them as well.
Absolutely. It's a core public safety initiative is what we're doing. So we'll now turn, the next video is called Hope Through Change, and it tells the story of what we're doing to help people who are coming back out of prison to reintegrate into society.
Great.
Almost 4,000 people are on parole and probation in Marion County. We have roughly 600 people every year that are released from prisons back into our community. This is both the end and the beginning. An end to incarceration for past mistakes, often involving drugs or alcohol, and always with victims. The beginning of a new opportunity, but often fraught with challenges and anxiety.
We have to have a strategy that actually captures both the work that the state does through various state agencies, but also at the local level with the private nonprofits that are involved in delivering these services, with the faith-based community and with the business community, to acknowledge this as a statewide and a community public safety issue.
The theme this morning is giving chances to individuals who are returning back into society from incarceration. Individuals who need our help bridging the gap from a system of confinement to a system of a free society.
Well, this is really a head and heart issue. You can care about it because it makes sense from a logical perspective. It saves the taxpayers money. You can also, from a heart perspective, know that if they become tax-paying citizens, if they become people who are giving back to the community, if they become good, solid parents and good spouses, this is going to help our community all the way around. Everyone's safer and our community is stronger.
People get second chances. How many people here haven't had somebody come alongside of them and helped you? I know I have.
Supervision is the foundation that holds offenders accountable and keeps communities safe. In the past, clients could face harsh consequences while attempting to overcome barriers. Today, parole and probation deputies work to build rapport, focus on client strengths, and are trained in motivational interviewing and other evidence-based practices.
When I first became a probation officer, it was really a person would come into our office and we would really do a lot of dictation. We'd get court orders and we would tell them, go do this, go do that. Now it's evolved into really building a rapport and actually helping the clients change their cognitive thinking. So not only referring them to treatment, but actually interacting with them and helping them change their behavior.
I just want everybody to know that you can change, you know, it's not about who's holding you back. You know, all these people here, the probation officers and everything, they're just people just like you, you know. And as long as you do the right thing, they have no reason to bother you. And, you know, you can be successful just like me.
One of our mottos is, you know, what I model for my children will become. We actually have that up on our board in our office, and it holds true. And we're trying to break that cycle because many of them have grown up in those homes, whether it's physical abuse, sexual abuse, or the drug addiction.
The Marion County Reentry Initiative offers parent skill building through SOAR, Family Building Blocks, and the Demunez Resource Center.
I want you to go ahead and take a few moments, and I want you to think of some encouragements.
Right after I got out of court, I went to the probation office and talked to them, and they directed me over here, and that's when I very first met Derek. And so he's like, hey, I'm going to be doing this parenting class, teaching it, and I was like, okay, that's cool, you know. So I was really excited about it, because when I first met Derek, he was an awesome guy, you know, so I knew I was going to like this class.
You know, I've raised my kids on my own, and I didn't think I needed help. So I was kind of like negative about it, like why do I have to do it? But then like when I started coming and learning all the good things, I was like, wow, you know, like this is pretty good. This is stuff to know.
I used to yell a lot. I used to just go pick that up or do this, do that. Now my communication is, you know, I ask them first, what do they want to do? How do they feel? The I feel statement, the communication, what is wrong with them, because every time that they cry, I used to say, be quiet, you know, you don't have to cry. Now I ask them, why are you crying? What can I help you with? That's my big effort to do communication.
The mission of Family Building Blocks is to keep children safe and families together. Our work is designed to break the intergenerational cycle of child abuse and neglect. The most high-risk families come to Family Building Blocks for support. And as you can imagine, families who are impacted by incarceration are at very high risk for intergenerational cycles of poor decision-making, child abuse, and neglect. When we did look closely at the data, we were surprised when we saw that 35% of our families are indeed impacted by incarceration in some way.
The most rewarding part, I think, for me is what I learned from the parents. When I see an aha moment, when I see somebody that's really getting it, and then when people share things that, you know, allow the rest of us to learn from their experiences, I find that really rewarding, and that's what keeps me going. But it's seeing that light come on and realizing that they had a massive understanding, a shift in their own paradigm, if you will. That's nice.
Student Opportunity for Achieving Results, or SOAR, is an intense reentry program on the Chemeketa Community College campus.
It's such a fantastic opportunity, and I know that they might be reluctant going in to the program because it's unknown. They don't know what to expect, and usually they haven't had perhaps a very good relationship with their parole officer in the past, or our agency in general. But I've seen the results, and it really is truly amazing.
I've tried it my way, and it's never worked. It hasn't worked. I'm trying to hope that I'll learn something to break that cycle. With the SOAR program and the Chemeketa Community College, you know, they're right there. They're great. You know, hey, we can help you get this if you want to go this way. We can probably help you up with the job.
I honestly love the program. The teachers or facilitators are there. They help me out, you know, but you can tell that they genuinely care. And I mean, I think it's fabulous.
I think it's just the whole environment, and I want people to be part of that, to give them an opportunity to grow, get skills that they most likely didn't have in the past, and be able to live crime-free and contribute to our community and build it up instead of hurting it.
I think there's one thing that's wrong with the community, and I'm talking to myself. This is what's wrong with Dick Withnail. The professionals should do it. The county commissioners should do it. The governor should do it. I think that's backwards. It's the community that needs to step forward and to come alongside of these people. And the community, if the community does that as a whole, then our whole community will benefit, and this will be the best place to live.
These programs are working. People's lives are changing for the better, and our community is much safer and stronger as a result. What a great return on investment.
I don't know of any other program that leverages the resources like this program does, whether it's community corrections, the education piece, the private piece, the federal, state, county, all the collaborative aspect of this is amazing. And frankly, in this budget-limited environment that, believe it or not, we are trying to live in these days, this is the future.
So we have work to do to
remove obstacles to allow these people to come back and be productive citizens in our state and make a difference. And they will be the pebbles that will be used to change somebody else's life.
The fact that you've been able to do this in Marion County, I think, is just a testament to the energy that exists with the Marion County Reentry Initiative and how much progress we have made in this subject.
This is not about the rich helping the poor. This is not about the good helping the bad. This is about people helping people. Those of us who are able, stepping up and being able to say, I'm willing. I am willing to offer kindness to somebody who truly, at this point in their life, needs it.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to break that cycle of incarceration and giving people hope, giving families hope.
Open your mind and your heart together. I'm not saying to become a bleeding heart, per se. I'm saying just open it and think about, what if a family member of yours made a mistake? Wrong place, wrong time. Accepted responsibility for that mistake, paid their assigned debt, and wants to get back into society and moving along with their life and forget that part of their life. What if that was somebody that you knew and loved? What would you do?
I finally come to that point in my life where I think it's time to change, you know? And it doesn't seem hard anymore. I feel optimistic and just so, you know, I just feel like, used to feel like people were holding me back, but it was myself holding myself back. And now I just feel like I got the world at my feet and I can do anything I want.
Well, it was a really good video, and I think one of the things that I want to highlight in there is the individuals that were on that, some of the individuals on that video, Commissioner, were part of our SOAR program, which is where they literally go to college and they sit in a college setting, and we all know when we're in college we feel better about ourselves. You just attended one of those graduations. You want to share a little bit about your experience there?
Right. Well, SOAR, Student Opportunity for Achieving Results, and they talked about it on the video out at the Chemeketa Community College campus. This was the 20th cohort to go through, so it was SOAR 20's graduation. Very compelling ceremony. James, who was on the first video that we saw, actually gave special little rocks to each one of his classmates, and relatives were there, and their mentors were there, and just a very emotional time for them and a great opportunity.
Great. Well, thank you for watching today, and we're going to put up the website that you can go to and find out more about Marion County's Reentry program.